Welcome to Integrity Inspire, your daily dose of inspiration and motivation, featuring the bright and talented members of the Integrity Marketing Group family. Now, here's your host, Integrity co-founder and CEO, Brian W. Adams.
Hello, Integrity family. Thanks so much for joining us today. I'm so excited to introduce you to another incredible partner. At Integrity, man, we have partnered with some of the greatest minds in the insurance business and frankly, some of the greatest people. And today, I'm excited for you to meet Gregg. He's president of Northern Ohio Health and Wellness Benefits, based out of Toledo, Ohio. And he's got just an incredible story about growing up in Ohio and serving people all across the country now in health and wealth business. So I can't wait for you to learn more about him. Gregg, thanks so much for joining us today. And here at Integrity, becoming a partner, but also joining us here on Inspire, man. This is part of our culture, is to get to know partners. And so, man, I can't wait for people to get to know you just like I'm getting to know you here. So thanks for joining us, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited about it.
So we were just talking about this. When I went to Texas Tech, I was in a fraternity and loved every experience. There's a lot of good and bad about fraternity and other organizations. Let's say that real quick. But for me, it was great. It was a great leadership experience. I got to learn to do a bunch of different stuff. And then I got hired by that fraternity after school. I was going to go to law school, and I got a year deferment that said, we'll hold your spot for a year, because I wanted to go take this job. And frankly, I wanted to kind of take a break after college. And so I went to my fraternity. I worked in 9 states, had over 30 universities, and I just traveled around. I was a consultant, but I lived in Oxford, Ohio. It's where our fraternity was based, and that's where you're from, right?
It is, born and raised.
Born and raised. If you don't know Oxford, Ohio, this is one of those places. If you're ever around Cincinnati and you want to see what is one of the most quintessential communities, like what Norman Rockwell would paint, Oxford, Ohio is that to me. I lived a few blocks off of kind of the main street,
drag, yeah.
The main drag, right? We would walk to the bars, walk to the restaurants. Where I grew up, you drive everywhere. Here in Dallas, man, you got to drive everywhere. There, man, you just walk to every place. It was so much fun. We were talking about, it was the first time I'd ever really had bagels. So this is 25 years ago. One of the first time I'd really had bagels in the form of a sandwich. And so you go out and party at night, and then you leave the bars and you go
Straight to the bagel shop.
Straight to the bagel shop. And they would cut the bagels. They'd put like whatever meat you wanted, cheese, and and they would grill it. And it was one of the most amazing sandwiches I've ever had. I tell my wife about this all the time. I try to recreate it, but I can't do it very well. Did you ever have one of those?
I did. And everyone I talk to that goes to Oxford has a similar
the same
story.
Thing, yeah. There's so many great memories for me on that. There was a Chinese food place there I went to that I've never had General Tso's chicken better than that place, man. It was some of the best Chinese in Oxford, Ohio, man. So I was a beta, and you were a beta. So Beta Theta Pi is our fraternity, which is a small world that we're both part of that organization. And you became a beta at Toledo, right?
I did, yeah.
Yeah. So you grew up in Oxford. It's another funny story about Oxford, man. First time. So in Texas, if it snows, man, it snows gone the next day. So I remember calling my mom one day, and I was like, Mom, it snowed 2 weeks ago and it's still on the ground. Like this snow is like, how long is this going to last? It was just like, and the leaves, when the leaves fell and they would just pile up on the road, man. It was just such a great memory. What are some of your favorite memories by growing up in Ohio?
My mom worked at McCullough Heights Hospital, and I went to Oxford Talawanda High School, and Miami's always had state-of-the-art campus. Their campus is beautiful.
Beautiful.
The whole campus is kind of synced with red brick, and they all match. I mean, it looks like something out of the movies.
Yeah.
And, I was a hockey player.
Yeah.
So I grew up playing hockey.
It's such a huge thing. So again, where I grew up in Texas, I never had hockey, right? I mean, hockey didn't even exist for us. I mean, it wasn't even like, it's kind of like soccer. I mean, soccer, I'm just kidding. Somebody's going to give me a hard time about that. There's only one football in Texas, what I like to say. People give me a hard time about that. But yeah, hockey didn't like even exist for us growing up. But there, it was such a huge deal, man.
It was big. I followed Miami University's hockey team. And so that was kind of my Friday night deal, instead of the football games, we'd go to the hockey games. And just grew up playing hockey. And then when I was in high school, I got drafted by a junior team in Toledo. And so after I graduated
Like a
high school,
professional team?
it's a junior league team. So maybe a level that you would play if you're going to try and play
Right.
Division I or stepping block maybe for minor leagues. So I ended up going to Toledo so I could play hockey. And while I was in Toledo, I lived with a host family there for a while as I was playing hockey, and basically ended up enrolling at the University of Toledo and lived in the dorms for a couple of years and then rushed the fraternity,
Yeah.
as you mentioned. So met my best friends still to this day. Some of my fraternity brothers are my very best friends that I
Yeah,
still hang
same.
out with and see today, and great experience. And I kind of went through a little bit of withdrawal without hockey there because I started focusing on school and fraternity, and so I put together a club hockey team at the University of Toledo, and it was a great experience. Got to play in the Midwest Collegiate Hockey League for a couple years and knew a bunch of hockey players that I kind of put the team together, and
Yeah.
it worked out great. It was a lot of fun, and a lot of memories.
And I understand that hockey team, at the club hockey team at University of Toledo, is still there.
It is.
What you founded back then is still in existence, man. You got to be so proud of that.
It's a good memory, and it was a great experience. I think it was 96 and 97 that happened, and we go today and watch some of the Rocket games. So
Oh, that's awesome, dude. What did hockey? I played football in high school, and I loved it, and I think I learned so many life lessons through that. What life lessons, especially for business, but also family, etc., did you learn from playing hockey?
a lot of the hockey guys I knew were great guys and successful and competitive. Hard work. My Oxford had some hockey programs, youth hockey programs, but really, as I played, the competitive teams were out of Cincinnati.
Yeah.
So I think hockey is more of a lifestyle sport. My parents would drive me to Cincinnati 3 or 4 days a week. I'd play year round, play on 2 or 3 different teams, and just taught me to work hard and be the best I can be, and competitive. I do have a competitive edge, and it's what fuels my fire for the insurance game today.
Yeah, I agree. I think it translates in so many ways. I'm coaching my son's flag football team, and I'm an assistant coach. I'm not the main coach, but last week our main coach wasn't able to be there, so I had to be the coach, and we got crushed, bro. Like there's no other words for it. We got absolutely crushed, and I'm out there trying to call the plays, trying to keep the kids' spirits up. And I remember, so after the game, they're a good little team. They're great athletes. They had really bad coaching that day, thanks to me. And I pulled them together, and I was like, hey, guys, we're here to have fun. And this is a life lesson that in your life, there's going to be times that things just don't go your way. And we had some really bad calls. We had some people out that, playing another sport, they couldn't make the game. We didn't have our coach here. Sometimes things don't go the way that we think. This is part of life. And so get your heads up. And I was, frankly, kind of telling myself that story as well, because look, things in business sometimes don't go your way. Sometimes in business, you got to tell yourself, hey, it's going to be okay. Get back up. And so I think there's just so many lessons. And I pray that my kids can kind of learn that at an early age, that when they're older, they can kind of relate, going, okay, let's get back in the game, because it's true. You get hurt, you have an issue, you just gotta. There's just so
embarrass yourself.
Well, yeah, you embarrass yourself. You gotta. There's a lot to that for sure, man.
Yeah, it taught me some life lessons. Before I got into the health business with Medicare, I was a life guy.
Yeah.
Started my career in the life insurance business and financial services, and tough road taught me some real life lessons, because I would drive an hour and a half for a meeting and have my fingers crossed the whole way that I'm gonna get an application and a piece of business, and it's just interesting what it teaches you.
Oh man, so how did you get into the insurance business?
So once I graduated from University of Toledo, fresh graduate, looking for a real job.
Yeah.
And ironically, all these life insurance companies come out of the woodwork.
Yeah. Back then, they were recruiting at college campuses. Now,
Yeah.
when you and I are about the same age. whenever we were in college, you'd go to a recruitment fair and there were insurance companies everywhere.
That's
Now
what
you
it
don't
was.
see that anymore at all.
No, you don't. So it's actually ironic how it played out, but I got 2 or 3 offers at the same time for similar life companies, and I took the best paying job I could get. I jumped on it and came in the business as a long-term care specialist.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably the best thing that ever happened to me because there's so many life agents and it's just tough to survive, selling life insurance, pure commission. And lots of people come in the business with 100% focus in the life business. I started in the long-term care market, and it was awesome because it put me in front of an established prospect. I was sitting down with 65-year-olds, that were established. They had the funds to afford the premiums. Long-term care was one of those products that not everyone has planned and prepared for, and there was an opportunity there, and I got to build my business. That's what I did exclusively for the first 5 years, in the life insurance world. And then, one thing led to another. I ended up getting my securities license and got into the annuity world and then got into the life insurance business. And it wasn't until 2015 that I stumbled into Medicare.
Yeah.
I look at it today, and I've kind of always done Medicare as a side job, as a side service, friends, family, clients, people that, are turning 65. What's ironic now is 3/4 of my revenue comes from my part-time Medicare business as opposed to my, full-time financial services career. So just ironic. I got a passion to really help a lot of the agents that I work with that, maybe are stuck in a commission-based business. So I've really got a focus to help agents start picking up the residual income and getting the financial stability so they don't have to go out and chase new commissions to pay their bills. And, the Medicare business has helped me do that, and now is a primary focus in what I do.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I started out in life insurance, and long-term care is, if you're going to sell long-term care for sure, you got to be a good salesman. Like you got to know how to sell. Same thing with life insurance. You've got to be a really great salesman to really convince somebody that they're going to die and they need to protect that, right? Because all of us think that we'll never, we're going to live forever and we'll never die. With Medicare, I'm so passionate about Medicare because it's truly about serving others. And it's truly about, like, how can I help you find the best plan that fits your needs, regardless of anything else? And I'm just here to support you and serve you. And it's amazing how rewarding that can be. And, for me, to really serve people, from their life, health, and wealth needs is what we're doing here at Integrity. And we're trying to holistically serve people. So that background that you've had is really important so that you can help new agents get into the market and say, let me show you how you can overcome that objection or how you can close that sale, but also how you can serve people with something that's so important like Medicare.
Absolutely, yeah. It's changed my practice and changed my life.
Yeah.
As you said, Medicare is more educational. You don't really have to close on the business. You educate people about their choices, their options.
Right.
And, the business kind of falls into place.
Yeah, I agree. And that's frankly, is the way it should be in a lot of ways. I think it's so important. One of our core values is family here at Integrity. So is service. And one of the things that we are so passionate about is serving American families with integrity. And I think that how we do that is so important and so impactful. And it's the reason I think we've seen the success we've had, but also the reason I think we'll continue to be successful into the future. And a big part of that is all about families. And, for me, talking about like coaching my kids' flag football team, it's the first time I've ever tried to do that with my kids. I typically have never had the time to, I shouldn't say that. I never took the time. And I feel a little guilty about that, because I look back and go, man, I wish I'd been doing this for a long time because it's been so much fun. And I know you're a family man. You got 3 kids. Tell us about your kids.
Yeah, I'm blessed with 3 great kids, beautiful wife. My daughter's 26 now. She's married. She's a nurse. She's in the NICU. Okay,
Wow.
so she's working with,
So my son was born at 23 weeks. He was in the NICU for 147 days. And I tell you, NICU nurses, in my opinion, are angels. I mean, The doctors are there to take care of the baby. The nurses are there to take care of the family. And man, some of the greatest people I've ever known served us like selflessly in the NICU. So God bless your daughter on that. Does she love it?
Yeah, she loves it.
You have to have a passion. That's one of those things. It's almost like a calling. If you don't have a passion for it, you're not going to do it. I mean, that gave me chills because it was so impactful. We still keep in touch with NICU nurses, and
That's
such
awesome.
an amazing thing. So 26-year-old, and let's talk about the others.
So, and then my son just graduated from Bowling Green State
I
University.
love Bowling Green. Bowling Green's a great area.
Yeah, so he just finished school. He graduated with a degree in business,
Awesome.
and he's got a minor in insurance, so that's awesome.
Coming into the family
Yeah,
business.
we've already got him health licensed, and he's already contracted with a couple carriers, and he's got
Awesome.
some downline agents underneath him already as
Awesome,
well.
man.
So he's getting ready to roll his sleeves up and work with me, so I'm really excited about that opportunity. And my youngest boy's 19, and he's going to Bowling Green as well. My daughter graduated from Bowling Green as well, and he's going to school for aviation.
Wow, going to be a pilot.
Yeah,
That
and I
is-
heard maybe you were a pilot.
Listen, I've got my pilot's license. You crashed one plane, and nobody lets you hear the end of it. I crashed one plane, and it's a story for another day. But man, I ripped the wings off of it, and thank God nobody got hurt. So I'm pretty good at everything but landing, and it seems like landing's pretty important. So tell your son, focus on landing.
I will.
The takeoffs are pretty easy. Landings are a little harder.
Yeah, he's been so he's a freshman, just finished his first year, and it's been amazing.
Well,
He's
that's
been getting up
awesome.
in the planes, and he's got
So he's got his license now?
so he is a student,
Yeah.
and so he's got a flight trainer, co-pilot with him, and he's about to do his first solo flight. So,
Dude,
You
that
know.
is so fun. I'll never forget my first solo. So you're in a little tiny plane, right?
yeah,
And you're
little Cessnas or
little
whatever.
Cessnas, and you're
Yeah.
setting closer than we are.
Yeah,
And we had been practicing takeoff and landings, and my instructor said, "All right, dude, you're doing great. Why don't you pull over and let me out? And I think you're ready to go." And I was like, "Are you for real?" And so it was like it's like this moment of like, "Oh my God, like I'm going to do this," and then there's like this intense fear, right, of what happened. So if you think about little tiny plane, a couple of guys each weighing 200 pounds, you take off, and it's what you've been training for. He gets out, and I'll never forget going around and taking off. And if you take a couple hundred pounds out of the plane,
Sure, that thing
you don't even
gets
think
up.
you don't even
Yeah.
think about it. So I went to pull up, and it was like woo, and I was just like, oh my gosh! And so I come back, and he's like, they cut the back off your shirt and do all that stuff, and it's a pilot kind of ritual. And I go, man, when you got out, that plane just popped up, and he was like, oh man, I forgot to tell you about that. I'm glad you didn't have any problems. I was like, yeah, you probably should give somebody a heads up. So make sure your son knows, like, get ready, because it's going to be a
That
different,
throttle's gonna be touchy.
totally different
Yeah.
experience. Well, that's going to be so much fun, man. So we're about the same age. And I've got a 9-year-old and a 12-year-old, so you got started a little faster
I did.
than I did.
Yeah, I did.
Which, that I can't imagine being an empty nester now. It's got to be a different world.
It is. It is crazy,
Yeah, that's
and we're still trying to adapt to it.
yeah.
but it's
There's
great.
got to be some adaptation for sure on that. But
I'm gonna dust the golf clubs off and pull them out again, and
yeah,
maybe get back into adult hockey league, some of that stuff, that you just don't have time to do when you're raising
you
kids.
still got it.
Well, we're gonna find out.
think you still got it? You skating pretty good. You think you?
We're gonna see. I'm gonna try it. Now the boys are old enough. I'm gonna throw together a team, get
Just
the
don't
boys
get hurt,
on
bro.
there, and
Don't get hurt.
burn
That's
some
all-
energy.
That's all I say. Just please don't get hurt. We need you. Oh, that's going to be awesome. What are you most excited about with this new partnership?
You know what? I was honored to come out. Jill brought me out here, and I got a chance to tour the
Yeah.
headquarters and meet some good people. Everybody seems to be awesome. I like the values. I like the foundation. I like the health, wealth, and life motto. It fits me perfectly.
Yeah,
That's
you-
what I've done for 25 years. I'm just excited for the partnership. I love the technology. I love the platforms. my forte is recruiting. I like to grow my team, and I like to grow it, nationwide. And that's what kind of brought me to Neischloss. I had a captive IMO agency out of Toledo, and I was limited to like 14 counties. I was limited to Northwest Ohio. And the sales director for one of the carriers that I was doing most of my business with, all of my business with at the time when I was captive, kept slapping me on the wrist like, hey, you can't hire that guy in Columbus. It's a different territory. It's a different market. You need to focus in Northwest Ohio. And, with remote selling capabilities, email, text, voice signature, people would respond to my ads, my job ads in Michigan or Indiana, wherever. And after he had to tell me about 45 times, this, keep it local, he actually suggested that I interview with some of the different groups. And so that's how I met Neischloss and Fleming, and was able to recruit, on a larger scale.
Yeah.
And
now you're in 46 states. You're growing your business in an incredible way. It's been amazing to watch. And there's nobody better in the business than Neischloss and Fleming, and that group is just, they're near and dear to my heart for a lot of reasons, but it's because they're just such great people. So, man, I'm excited about that as well. And it's been amazing to see how fast you've been able to scale your business, grow it. And now with us partnering together with additional technology, resources, and support, there's no limit. And that's really kind of the idea is how do you create this opportunity to say, let's take it to the next level?
Exactly right. Super excited about it. Having my, son be part of it's great. Yeah. I mean, that's my biggest issue is, I'm just shorthanded. So I'm to the point now where I need some staff and some help keeping it all together. And, with the Integrity Partnership, I've got the tools and the resources and the partnerships and the friendships and really everything I need to make it happen.
Well, Gregg, we're so honored to have you as a partner. And I hope everybody else is excited to hear this story and this opportunity to really take it to the next level. I mean, just this opportunity that we were just talking about, just the example of saying, like we can recruit people anywhere. We can support people and serve them holistically with life, health, and wealth with a platform like we have here and do it with integrity. So I'm so excited to be your partner, man. Thanks for being here in Dallas today. I hope everybody has an amazing week, and thank you guys for joining us. God bless you all and take care. See you.